Hello and welcome everybody to the Heroes of the Storm Summer Championship, brought to you live from the Monster DreamHack Studios here in Stockholm, Sweden. My name is Kenrick Swish, and today we're going to take a look who is going to be, or actually make the first steps on becoming the Summer Champion for Heroes of the Storm. It's going to be amazing. The Nexus has called and the regions have answered. They sent their best and most elite teams to actually compete here at this venue. It's definitely going to be a great time, but not only do we have the most amazing teams sent to this venue, but we're also being joined by some of the finest casters and analysts that Heroes of the Storm, of course, has to offer. Most importantly here, my best buddy for this event, Jay, how's it going?
It's great, man. Sweden is amazing. The studio is amazing. I think we've got a great show, and we're getting started quickly, but the show today is going to be incredible.
Absolutely. You name it, Jay. I mean, this is the finest that we can expect for this summer split. The spring split alone has been amazing already, so there couldn't be a Heroes of the Storm event without Dr. Dread himself. How's it going, buddy?
It's going very good. I'm excited to see the games. Who really shows up even starting this early in the tournament with a rare hero or teams that are playing here, like MVP Black for the first time, even in the group stage early on. So it's going to be awesome to see how it plays out this early.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot online. Also some stories to be continued because, of course, during the regionals, we've seen a lot of ups and downs. Kalaris, you've been to almost each and every single one of those regionals. How excited are you to be here in Sweden?
Very much so. I'm looking forward to the first day and the first couple of days, of course, as we go through our first group stage. Hoping for some upsets. Don't know if they're going to happen, but that's what we're here to find out.
Definitely. I mean, that's the cool thing about the Summer Championship. Not only do we have these well-known and established teams from all the different regions, but there are also some dark horses from lesser-known regions. For example, the Southern American scene, Taiwan, Australia, so you name it, we've got you covered. But let's actually take a look at what the road to summer has been. As we mentioned, the major regions sent 2 teams each to this tournament to compete, whereas the minor regions, they only have one team representing. But certainly they are going to try their best to actually make a name for themselves here, because this is probably their biggest chance to get glory and honor here, for sure. Now, guys, is there any region that struck you the most, or any region that you are looking the most forward to here?
It's a good question. Obviously, everyone's looking at the Asian regions as being the big favorites throughout the entirety of the tournament. I strongly believe at least one of our Western teams is going to make top 4 overall. Maybe, I don't know, maybe X team doesn't have as good a performance as one would expect with them taking out EDG during the Chinese regional, for example. So that could be a thing as well, but I think everybody's eyes are on the Asian region, right?
I think for sure. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, it's kind of hard not to after they're showing at spring, and they haven't really dropped off much. And the competition there, iron sharpens iron, and there's just a lot of good competition there to make each team better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Western teams, they need to redeem themselves because they were kind of disappointing during the spring split. Let's actually take a look at both groups here. To the left, we see Group A, which we're going to be starting with today, by the way. We see from Australia, Negative Synergy. Of course, the reigning world champions, MVP Black. A lot is on the line here for this team because they basically struggled a little bit during the last Super League Grand Finals. But X Team also an upcoming and rising team from China. And last but not least, Renovatio won all the way from the Philippines. On the right-hand side, we see PBA, also known as Please Buff Arthas from Taiwan. Mayan Sandy, one of the European top teams here for sure. Gale Force Esports, also a little bit of a surprise candidate from NA since Cloud9 didn't really make it. And Big Gods, last but not least, of course, a team that we should never disregard or discard as well either. So a lot of stacked names, a lot of underdogs. How do you think is this first day of Heroes of the Storm during the Summer Championship going to unfold? Will we see some upwards, Drat?
As Claire said, I hope to see some of the upsets. I don't know if we'll see them quite yet. I think we might see a little bit more once we get to the deciders match of the early stages and the group stages going on. But for now, in day number 1, I don't think it's going to be too surprising, I guess, in the results.
Right. And for all of you asking themselves, like, hey, how is this tournament actually going to work? Today, we're going to kick things off with the first group stage. So there's going to be 2 group stages. The first seeds from all the regions are actually waiting to play later on. So today, we're going to focus on this first group stage. It's, of course, double elimination. So if a team loses a best of 3 here, it's not over just yet. They will have 2 more chances to actually redeem themselves in losers matches and potentially a deciders match. So that's, of course, very cool to see. Let's actually focus on Group A a little bit more, because those are the teams that we're going to kick things off with today. And of course, as we can see, Negative Synergy, MVP Black, X Team. My personal most favorite team here, I have to say, X Team. I've been a fan of them, or I've become a fan of them ever since I saw them performing really, really well against all those established Chinese teams. And of course, Renovation 1. And the first best of 3 that we are going to deal with today is actually going to be the reigning world champion MVP Black against the upcoming and hungry Filipino team Renovation 1. Now, we have sort of talked or mentioned it briefly here, but MVP Black, there is a lot of story about this team in particular. Can you elaborate for all those people that haven't really been following competitive esports for Heroes of the Storm that much? Jawa, can you tell us what's going on with these guys?
Yeah, the biggest surprise for them, I mean, we saw a lot of announcements come out recently. We talked about some potential role swaps that will be there, as well as the fact that they did drop 0-4 in the finals, as you talked about, which is why they're in the group stage. So there's just a lot going on right now, I think, when we talk about MVP Black. They're still MVP Black, though, Dread.
Yeah, no, they struggled against Tempest very heavily in the grand finals. And for those who don't know, their record is some of the most impressive, like, in the world, not even losing a series since December in their past. Like, it's just, they were never, like, you can't beat them, right? Yeah. And then they end up going to the grand finals and then losing so convincingly that everybody's like, what's happening? They have been a little bit public with maybe some of their minor problems, but...
To the point where I think they're duping everybody.
We talked about this. We theory-crafted a little bit behind it.
In my mind, there is no way that this is something that isn't even just a calculated method for them. Like, you don't go from being the world's most dominant team to the point where you go like 36 series or something back to back and then just drop that how they did. There must be something to say, we want to show the rest of the world that we can bleed to then come to the World Finals, to then just say, we're going to dominate you all. Even with role swaps, maybe in this first couple of series, in the first group stage, but then later on in the tournament, I think they turn it up and go ham.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the most exciting background stories. Like, is MVP actually trolling us, or are they, is it just a little bit of their strategy, or are they really in a sort of, down phase in their performance? But let's actually take a look at Group B here as well. There are a stacked roster of teams there, especially My Insanity and Gale Force Esports. Those are the teams that we're going to spectate and observe a little bit more closely, because My Insanity, they had a flawless performance during DreamHack Tours in the second European Regionals, not even dropping a single map here. And Gale Force 1, they caused a little bit of an uproar, beating the reigning champions Naventic in NA quite convincingly here as well. And once again, please buff Arthas, though. They are a team from Taiwan that is considered to be above everybody else or every one of the lesser-known teams. Can you elaborate why that is?
They're my true wild card. They're 3 members of GIA from the previous globals that we've had in the past, and then 2 other members that have come along. But overall, I feel that they're the team that can try and make the most happen with an upset here from the smaller regions. Do you agree?
I completely agree. I think if anybody's going to be the upset, it's going to be them when it comes to that group specifically.
Right. What about Gale Force Esports, though? Jaeho, I mean, you are from NA after all. Did this outcome really surprise you?
I think when we talk about upsets and potentials that could come here, I think the thing that you have to also note, not only did they take down Naventic 3-0 in the finals just last week, but to qualify for both ESL and DreamHack Regionals, they took down Cloud9.
Yeah.
Yep. So not only have they taken down Naventic, but they took down Cloud9. I mean, so the potential there for them, the growth that they've had is, I'm actually curious to see how they perform on such a big stage.
And there's